You are standing in the center of a freezing wooden meeting house. It is incredibly cold, but you are sweating. The air is thick with the smell of damp wool, wood smoke, and unwashed bodies. You are staring straight ahead at the magistrates, sitting high at their heavy oak table. But you can't hear them over the noise. To your right, a group of teenage girls is thrashing on the floor. They are screaming, high, piercing shrieks that rattle the frosted window panes. One of them points a trembling finger directly at your chest, weeping hysterically, claiming she sees your spirit, a dark, shadowy shape detaching from your body and coming to bite her flesh. You try to speak. You try to tell the judge that you are a good Christian, that you have lived in this village your entire life, that you have no idea what these girls are talking about. But as soon as you open your mouth, the girls fall into violent convulsions. The judge slams his gavel. He glares down at you, his eyes filled with absolute certainty. He asks you, not if you are a witch, but why you are tormenting these children. Your stomach drops. You realize with a sudden, suffocating terror that the truth does not matter here. You are in Salem Village. It is 1692, and you are about to hang. To understand how you ended up in this nightmare, you have to understand the world you live in. You live in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, an edge-of-the-world frontier surrounded by an endless, dark wilderness. For a Puritan, the forest is not a place of beauty. It is the devil's domain. Beyond the tree line lies the constant, very real threat of violent raids from the Wabanaki Confederacy. Refugees from these brutal frontier wars have been flooding into your village, bringing with them stories of massacre and trauma. But the fear outside your village is nothing compared to the fear inside it. You are a Puritan. Your entire life is governed by a strict, unforgiving theology. You believe that God is angry, that humanity is entirely sinful, and that Satan is not a metaphor. Satan is a physical, active presence walking the earth, constantly looking for recruits to sign his dark book. Every failed crop, every sudden fever, every stillborn calf is not a stroke of bad luck. It is the work of the devil. Salem Village is a powder keg. It is a bitterly divided town. You know this because you live it every day. The village is split between the poorer farmers in the west and the wealthier merchants closer to Salem town. You argue over property lines, stray pigs, and firewood. You argue over the controversial new minister, Reverend Samuel Parris, whose fiery sermons only stoke the paranoia. The tension has been building for years, a dry brush just waiting for a spark. That spark comes in the dead of winter. It starts in the home of Reverend Parris himself. His 9-year-old daughter Betty and his 11-year-old niece Abigail begin to behave strangely.
At first, you hear whispers at the tavern. The girls are forgetting their prayers. Then, the whispers turn to terrified gossip. The girls are barking like dogs. They are twisting their bodies into impossible, unnatural contortions. They are complaining of invisible pins being violently shoved into their skin. The local physician, William Griggs, is brought in. He examines the girls, finds no physical illness, and delivers a diagnosis that sends a shockwave of pure terror through the colony. The evil hand is upon them. The panic spreads like a contagion. Soon other girls in the village begin exhibiting the same horrifying symptoms. The community demands answers. The magistrates pressure the girls to name their tormentors. Who is doing this to you? Who is hurting you? The girls name 3 women. Tituba, Reverend Parris's enslaved woman from the Caribbean. Sarah Good, a destitute homeless beggar. And Sarah Osborne, an elderly bedridden woman embroiled in a scandalous legal dispute. You watch this happen, and at first, you feel a twisted sense of relief. You are not a beggar. You are not an outsider. You are a respectable member of the church. You attend Sabbath, you work your land. You think to yourself, this is a tragedy, but it has nothing to do with me. Then comes the trial of Tituba. In the crowded meeting house, under intense questioning and likely physical abuse, Tituba does the unthinkable.
She confesses. She says the devil came to her in the shape of a black dog. She says there is a coven of witches operating right here in Salem. And most terrifying of all, she says she saw the devil's book and there were 9 names written inside it. She only knew 2. The village erupts into absolute hysteria. There are 7 unknown witches hiding in plain sight. It could be the baker, it could be the blacksmith, it could be the person sitting next to you in the pews. The accusations begin to fly, and the profile of a witch rapidly changes. It is no longer just the outcasts. Martha Corey is accused. She is a fiercely devout, upstanding woman. Rebecca Norse is accused. She is a 71-year-old grandmother, widely considered the most pious and gentle soul in the village. You begin to realize that nobody is safe. You start to watch your own back. You remember a petty argument you had 3 years ago with a neighbor, Thomas Putnam, over a property boundary. You remember that his daughter is one of the afflicted girls. A chilling new concept is introduced into the court: spectral evidence. The magistrates decide to accept the claim that a person's invisible spirit can commit a crime, even if their physical body is miles away. If a teenage girl claims your invisible ghost choked you in the middle of the night, the court accepts it as absolute, indisputable fact. You cannot provide an alibi for a ghost. You are entirely defenseless. The paranoia begins to rot your mind. You stop sleeping. Every time someone knocks on a door, you flinch. You watch your neighbors turn on each other, desperately hurling accusations to deflect suspicion from themselves. The jails in Salem, Boston, and Ipswich are overflowing with hundreds of accused men, women, and children. Some are as young as 4 years old. And then it happens.
It is late April. The ground is still hard with frost. You are eating a meager supper by the hearth when the heavy pounding comes at your door. You don't need to ask who it is. You open the door to find the local constable and 2 deputies holding muskets. They read a warrant for your arrest, signed by magistrates John Hathorne and Jonathan Corwin. You are charged with performing acts of witchcraft upon the bodies of the afflicted girls. You are torn from your home. Your spouse is weeping. Your children are screaming, but you are not allowed to comfort them. You are thrown into a cart and hauled through the freezing night to the tavern where the magistrates hold their preliminary examinations. You are shoved into the center of the room. The heat of 100 staring eyes burns into your skin. The magistrates sit before you, stern and merciless. And there, sitting in the front row, are the girls. Hathorne leans forward. You are brought before authority upon high suspicion of sundry acts of witchcraft. What say you to the charges? You speak with a shaking voice. I am innocent. I know not what a witch is. Hathorne's eyes narrow. How can you not know what a witch is when you are one? He commands you to look at the afflicted. You turn your head. The moment your eyes meet the girls, they explode into chaos. They throw themselves backward as if struck by a cannonball. They writhe on the floor, foaming at the mouth, screaming that your invisible specter is tearing at their flesh with iron claws. The crowd gasps. Hathorne demands you approach the girls for the touch test. The Puritan belief is that the evil venom of the witch's eye goes into the victim, and only the physical touch of the witch can draw the venom back out. The deputies grab your arms and force you forward. They take your trembling hand and press it against the arm of one of the shrieking girls. Instantly, she goes completely limp. She stops crying. She sighs in relief, claiming she is cured. The room erupts. It is the ultimate proof. You have been caught red-handed by the venom of your own soul. You are formally indicted and dragged away in chains. You are thrown into the Salem jail, a place that is less a prison and more a dungeon. It is a dark, windowless cellar. The stench of human waste, rotting straw, and unwashed bodies is so thick you can barely breathe. It is freezing cold. You are shackled to the stone walls with heavy iron chains, which you are forced to pay for yourself out of your own estate. Weeks turn into months. You are starving. The darkness eats away at your sanity. You hear the weeping of other prisoners in the dark. You hear the prayers of Rebecca Nurse. You hear the defiant shouts of Giles Corey, an 80-year-old man who refuses to stand trial.
For his silence, the sheriff drags him into an empty field, places a board over his chest, and slowly piles heavy stones on top of him for 2 days until he is crushed to death. His last words are simply, "More weight."
Then comes the day of your final trial. You are dragged before the court of Oyer and Terminer. You have no lawyer. You have no witnesses to call on your behalf. The only evidence presented against you is the hysterical screaming of teenage girls and neighbors who suddenly remember that their cow died shortly after you walked past their farm. You are found guilty. The sentence is death by hanging. You are thrown back into the darkness of the dungeon. And here, in the freezing pitch black, you are faced with an impossible, agonizing choice. A loophole in the Puritan justice system. If you maintain your innocence and tell the truth, you will be hanged at Gallows Hill. Your property will be seized by the sheriff, leaving your family destitute, starving, and shamed forever. But if you lie, if you confess to being a witch, if you weep, beg for forgiveness, and name other innocent people in the village as your fellow witches, they will let you live. The Puritans believed that a confessing witch is in the hands of God, and executing them would cut off their chance at redemption. So, what do? Do you damn your eternal soul by lying before God, and condemn your innocent neighbors to the gallows just to save your own neck? Or do you hold tight to your truth, protect your soul, and walk up the steps to the hangman's noose? You sit in the dark, listening to the rats in the straw, the cold iron biting into your wrists. The sun is rising outside. You can hear the sounds of the carpenter hammering the wooden beams of the gallows on the hill. The jailer's keys are jingling down the hallway. The heavy wooden door groans open, letting in a blinding shaft of morning light. The deputies step into the cell. They look down at you. It is time to make your choice.